here I am.
But there's what?
I think E should now be public hearings.
No, I would say we're confident.
Yeah.
Until I did middle school.
How do you get back?
Which I didn't want.
So next time you go to the agenda,
And what sealed it was when my mom drove by using my truck.
somehow it's don't get done.
Snowball. It was in the case, but you know, she was like, I don't know.
Why did it take a change?
I don't know. I did inquire all through high school.
I know, but sometimes I get some of the
Speaking of mom,
Change the cover sheet.
You just concrete, noise around. Peggy, I don't know if you bought the house out there on Old Lincoln Highway, that red one right at the split. They had that estate sale.
Well, you weren't here.
I'm not sure if you bought that or what, but that's all his trucks that are.
So Tom and I had a conversation with our proclamation should sit.
His boy.
well,
Although I do understand.
Randy was nice.
my girlfriend.
Can you donate?
I think that's who I think.
No, sorry.
Good evening.
Good evening, yes, and welcome to the first meeting of May for the Mount Vernon City Council, and officially call this meeting to order. And are you okay with anybody on Zoom?
Yeah.
Some person is okay. Nate? Pardon?
I've just been noticing that Michael is there necessarily with.
First item on the agenda is to address agenda items, approval of the agenda. I think we still have E1 is, last I heard, still be tabled. And that indicates that G1 will also still be tabled. And I would ask the council's approval if we can move item H to after D, proclamation. And we may, as a matter of course, as we set up future agendas, just have that towards the front end of the agenda.
Yeah, makes sense.
Which makes a lot of sense for everybody, so we'll try to get that.
Thank you, Tom.
Good idea.
I'm so glad you just said that.
Pardon?
I'm so glad you just said that.
I was just informed it was happening regardless. I wanted to.
Next agenda might be different.
Well, I would move then to approve the agenda with E1 removed and G1 removed and H1 moved to after D.
Thank you, Craig.
So, just to get clarification, we won't remove them, they will remain tabled?
Removed from today's agenda.
Well, they stay on it. We just are gonna, we're not gonna vote to remove
Stay.
it from the table, so.
What he said.
Yeah, there we go. And I will second.
Great, Scott. Moved and seconded to approve those three changes to the agenda. Ready to move forward. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Next section of the meeting is involving communications. And if you wish to address the City Council on subjects pertaining to today's meeting agenda, they are in the back of the room, so you can speak at that time when it gets to that point of the agenda. And if you wish to address the City Council on an item not on the agenda, now is the time to come to the microphone, give your name and address for the public record, and you can discuss your item at that time. It's not a public discourse back and forth, but we will listen at that time. So if anybody's here to talk about any other items on the need to come before this council, now's the time to do it. Hearing none, we'll move to the consent agenda. And we've got one item on that agenda, and that's the approval of city council minutes.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as listed. If you're ready to vote on that, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Next item is moving up H, and I'm slowly getting to that point of the tablet here. You want to do any introductory comments? Nothing for it? Welcome.
Welcome. Is it on?
Push them so it's green.
It'll light up green.
Now we're good? All right. My name's Mike Hines, 2320 Upland Drive, Southeast, Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Mary Foreman, 1606 Palisades Road, Southwest, Mount Vernon.
So first, we would like to thank Mayor Weisler and the City Council and the City of Mount Vernon for recognizing Camp Tanager in the 100-year anniversary. Mount Vernon's been a valued partner at Camp Tanager and at Tanager Place. I was telling Tom earlier, we have a full-time therapist at Mount Vernon schools. Mount Vernon Archery's been coming out to Camp Tanager for at least 12 years, and there's multiple other events that Mount Vernon's been involved in. And so one thing I'd like you to remember is on August 1st, we're going to have a celebration called Summer Jam out at Camp Tanager. And we're inviting anybody in the area to come out with their families. There'll be lots of activities, swimming pool, archery, kid games, bouncy house, all different kinds of activities. It's 11 to 1 on August 1st, so we'd like to welcome you all and anybody from the city of Mount Vernon to come out that day to help us celebrate a 100-year anniversary.
Completely agree? Yeah.
Yes?
I don't think so. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Do a lot of good.
Thank you.
At this point, I will read proclamation for celebrating the 100th anniversary of Camp Tanager. Whereas Camp Tanager was founded in 1926, originally known as Camp Good Health, to serve children with health and physical needs, and has since evolved to meet the changing needs of youth while maintaining its commitment to safe, meaningful camp experiences. And whereas Camp Tanager is located in Mount Vernon, and it serves more than 1,000 children annually through summer and year-round programming, including traditional camp experiences and specialized medical camps for children with conditions such as diabetes and hemophilia, ensuring access to camp for children who might otherwise be unable to attend. And whereas the continued success and longevity of Camp Tanager has been made possible through the dedication of staff, volunteers, supporters, and community partners who have invested in the camp and its mission for generations. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 100th anniversary of Camp Tanager, providing an opportunity to recognize its lasting impact on children, families, and the broader community, and to celebrate a century of service and care. Now therefore, I, Thomas M. Weisler, Mayor of the City of Mount Vernon, do hereby proclaim the months of May through August 2026 as Camp Tanager 100th anniversary celebration in the City of Mount Vernon, and encourage residents to join in recognizing and celebrate this important milestone. And in witness thereof, I will heretofore send my hand cause the affixed seal of the City of Mount Vernon this 4th day of May 2026, which is my signature. So thank you very much, and thank you for skipping over E and going to F. Ordinance 46-2026A, amending Chapter 166.03, jurisdiction and applicability to the 2-mile extraterritorial jurisdiction of the City of Mount Vernon. Motion to approve the third and final reading. And no comments? I'm sorry, Paul.
Sorry. I move to approve ordinance 4-6-2026A.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. Paul and Mark. To move forward with this resolution. And we are ready to vote on it. Marcia, you are up.
Miller,
Aye.
Hanson Player,
Aye.
Engel,
Yes.
Andreessen,
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
And that motion passes. That resolution passes. Ordinance passes. Moving to G1. G2. Fixing the date for a public hearing on a proposal to enter into a development agreement with the Mustang Land Company, LLC.
Council, this is Mount Vernon Family Dentistry dentistry. We approved a development worksheet before they started construction. This is just a formal document that will start their 5-year rebate.
$25,000 a year.
70% or up to 25,000, I think. Just depends on where their assessment's at.
And this is just setting the public hearing date, correct?
Correct.
With that, I would move approval of Resolution 5-4-2026A, setting the public hearing date for our Monday, May 18th meeting for Mustang Land Company.
Thank you, Scott. Is there a second? Second. I'll take Mark on that one here. Moving second to move forward with Resolution 5-4-2026A and setting that date, hearing date from Monday, May 18th. And if we're ready to vote on that resolution, Marcia?
Anderson,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Hanson Player,
Yes.
Engel.
Yes.
That resolution passes. Resolution 5-4-2026B, accepting work for the project known as the 2024 Sanitary Sewer Rehab Project with Municipal Pipe Tool Company.
This project is now, will be complete. All said, we received a $1 million grant from Lynn County as part of their ARPA funding. We spent about $900,000 of that. Lining, cleaning, televising. So I like to tell people none of that work would have been able to be done without that.
And to clarify, this portion of it was just north of 600,000. The other
Correct.
3 went to a couple of other, I think, street projects, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to assume that we don't have the ability to just apply that $100,000 to someone else.
Unfortunately, no.
Worth a shot.
Wouldn't that be nice?
In that case, I would move approval of Resolution 5-4-2026B, accepting work on the sanitary sewer rehab project from 2024.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to move forward with 5-4-2026B. There are no comments or questions. I think we're ready for Marcia.
Engel,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Hanson Player,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Next is 5-4-2026C, ordering construction of certain preliminary plans and fixing a date for hearing thereon and taking bids therefore for improvements known as the Bryant Road Sanitary Sewer Project.
Resolution should say 3rd Street Southwest.
Yeah, I wondered about that.
Oh,
But this sewer would go through what is considered the net property, go up a drainage way. We've been in conversation with Hertz to net to secure the easement necessary for the construction of the sewer. This will initially serve the new public works shop at on Bryant, and then it will also have an assessment district or a connection district that will be created, so if anybody does develop the net property in the future, that we would recoup some of the costs.
Will this be close enough to the net and right homes to connect?
Probably not without another, I mean, theoretically, yes, we can look at alternatives to run, see if there's a possible to run a main east along Bryant Road, connect those. It is something that we'll take a look at because we stopped the trail construction on the east side of the Public Works property because their septic field at the rights sits right there. So if we could get a main to the east, then the rights would have the ability to connect to sewer, then they could abandon that septic field and we can move forward with the trail project as well. So.
Thank you.
This is planting season. Are we going to get ahead of this year's crop? Or?
We actually started these conversations before it started. So we had it all surveyed so they could minimize crop damage through this process.
Yeah, so the surveyors are. Do you have questions about the scope? It's coming from the south, not from the east, basically.
I agree. resolution 5-4-2026C for the Grant Road Sanitary Sewer Project.
Paul.
Second?
And Craig.
Thank you.
Grateful staff there.
I do need to set the public hearing for the Grant Road Sanitary Sewer Project for May 18th at 6:30.
So is that all set then?
I think we had a second.
Yeah, we have Craig, yeah. Are there other comments or questions? I think we're ready for a roll call vote.
Rose,
Yes.
Engel,
Yes.
Hanson Player,
Yes.
Andreessen,
Yes.
Trover.
Yes.
That resolution passes. Moving to motions for approval. Mark has sent us this list of claims. Any questions of staff about it? Review?
I move approval of the claims list as presented.
Thank you, Craig. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Shereen. It's moved and seconded to approve the claims list. This is a voice vote. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. And opposed? Motion carries. J2 is discussion and consideration of the submarine quarry and Iowa codification proposal for codification services for the Mount Vernon City Code. Council action as needed. Update of our codes.
So we have an ongoing contract with Simmer Quarry. So as soon as we adopt an ordinance, we send that to them. They put it into the same font and everything, and we update our books from there. However, over the course of a year, if the state changes or makes changes that would affect the city code, those don't necessarily get reflected in those changes. So every 10 to 15 years, it makes a lot of sense for cities to move forward with the full recodification process, and it's been over 10 years since our code has been reviewed. The fee really isn't somewhat minimal compared to the amount of work that they do at 9,000. So
We did something similar to this a while back, didn't we?
So you did.
A reconciliation, I just remember trees. In one ordinance, trees in the boulevard were the residents' responsibility, and in another, they were the cities. And we reconciled a bunch of those kinds of things.
We did.
Okay.
We made some rather significant changes to code sections internally.
Okay, so that was not.
No.
Okay, all right.
The trees, council, mayor, city administrator duties, all of that were changed kind of post that city council.
Okay. So this runs the whole code, reconciles it against itself and
state code.
the state code for $9,000.
I would say I just recently was going through the code for my latest column, and it was pretty easy to use. It just took a little bit of digging, so hopefully the search functions will work a little bit better. But it was really fun to read the code and find this law that my sister-in-law had found, and to read it in context and read what it said. And then I just sat and read other things in the code. I was like, oh, it's a good law that we have, all right. But I was glad that it was there and pretty easy to find. So I like that we're going to find any things. I couldn't find anything in this, the perusal that I did that looked out of date, but I'm glad they're going to look through it to see if there is anything out of date.
When I first got on, we maintained paper copies. I assume we're way past that, or do you have a paper copy in the
It's
office?
it would-
You do?
I have one in my house.
I would say
It's
we're
not
required
up-
to.
I was handed it when I was originally
And
elected.
you've been updating it every time we change
Yeah, I
it?
print out a new one every time. Every whole bunch of it, I stick it in there.
I
We
always
stayed at
use
$9,000, we got a copy
It's-
there.
I only move it, I literally have
That's
moved
one
it to
thing I
dust the
pick
shirts
up.
on.
I
Otherwise I look at the
like
box.
it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Considering all of that, I would move approval of the contract between the city and Submarine Quarry for the $9,000 code resolution work that they're gonna do.
That's got Paul on that one. Move to second to move forward with this firm to update our codes. And other comments, serious or otherwise? Ready to vote on that one? That's a voice vote. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the discussion consideration of the school district's request to waive the water connection fee at the Mount Vernon Athletics Complex. Council action is needed.
I have some questions on this.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else does. So this $4,000, is it just going to be absorbed by the city or other citizens by not charging them the $4,000?
So any time that you waive revenue, it's absorbed by the rest of the citizenry. I can't sit here and tell you that going into the year, I expect the $4,000 fee to be charged to X amount of people. I don't. But yes, when you waive fees specifically for groups or individuals, then yeah, it has to get absorbed somehow.
Mm-hmm. And then when the PAC was built, was there any, the Performing Arts Center, were there any similar arrangements done for the PAC?
No.
Okay. So I read through the email that Matt Tatey sent. What was the, he referred to, that someone, Nick Thurn had said that he had talked to you in the past or earlier?
He had made the request to me, at which time I informed Nick that that's not in my privy to approve. If they wanted to make the formal request, it needed to come from the Mount Vernon Community School District, was my conversation with Nick. And we had received 2 requests within a matter of 2 days. The first was on building permits for HVAC and plumbing, asking to waive those fees. Of course, we can't waive those fees because that's not even a pass-through for us. They just go to Lynn County and they get charged. So this request is within the council's ability to waive, should you choose to do that. Have we waived this fee since I've been here?
That was my next thing. Since I don't know history, I wondered if for the school district or for other facilities, have we ever waived what is it, the hookup fee? Is
The
that
connection fee, yeah.
connection fee, sorry. Have we ever waived a connection fee for any other large organizations?
No, I will say this. When when nonprofit institutions approach the city and can prove that the contractor has not charged the city or charged the nonprofit for those services, then I think then that gets entertained from time to time. Usually it's part of the bid package. This is semi-unique. I haven't been privy to any of the communication on this particular building itself, but I do know there's been some in-kind donations and labor for this particular building. But
forgive me, water connection fee, so this is them hooking this facility up to city water?
correct.
Okay. Is $4,000 the standard fee for that? Like if somebody builds a house out in Stonebrook and they connect to the city?
So it goes based upon the size of connection that you're asking.
Okay.
So in this instance, I believe it's a 2-inch connection, which is really a big connection.
Yeah.
When you think about your connection in your house is like an inch or less.
Yeah, I think minus 3/4.
Three-quarters.
Yeah, okay,
So
all right.
This-
So that would,
this movement it has a potential to move a decent amount of water.
sure, and that factor changes.
Yeah,
the
so
dollar
there's a
amount.
table,
Okay.
in, check right here. There is a table in 9806, and it's based upon pipe size, service size.
So, to answer the prior question, in my 20-plus years as council member or mayor, we've never waived the connection fee for any entity.
Okay. And then, because as I was just contemplating all of this, I was thinking, wow, we waived that, but then, you know, we weren't able to give the same amount of funding for SELCC. I got all those letters right. You know, so we say, oh, sure, we can do this, but then we can't give money to other places. I mean, $4,000, that's a lot of money to cut out, so that concerned me.
So I would share your concern, and I would say that the precedents that we would set by doing this, in this, you know, I could see where it creates a sense that this is a common thing. And the other part of this is that sewer and water are services that are used by all businesses and homes in our community. And when we would do something like this, the question of fairness and cost really concerned me. You know, I feel like the city and the school district do have a good partnership in working together in communication and things, but funding, I think, is a little bit of a path too far, in my opinion.
Why do you think that they asked for this? You know, when you build a project of this scope, you would have planned to have water in there, and you would have budgeted for it, right? Did they all of a sudden?
My assumption is that it's probably cost overruns at this point.
Tom?
This is the Mount Vernon Community School Foundation is the conduit for this. And they had a meeting on Wednesday night. This was not an agenda item on that meeting at all. But I did hear, besides the official notices that we got, but being in town, about the 2 requests for HVAC and water that was out there. And yes, and it's a slippery slope. And I don't vote on this, but and I'm not sure I should vote just because of the connection with the foundation. But you're right. But
Yeah, the only thing that goes through my mind, and I'm sure I'm getting it a little bit off, is the parking lot project happening right now. They're footing $1 million bill for that, and it includes, as I recall, a street that goes through there, and then
Unofficially a street, but yes,
Unofficially.
effectively a street, yes.
I would
separate the two.
They are.
really not call it a street. It is a private drive that connects 2 public streets.
that we frequently maintain in some form.
There's some crossover. We do have a good working relationship with the school district and slightly different taxing bodies. We tax a lot of the same individuals, but they also have a slightly larger geographic area than the city does. It is hard. To answer your question, we increase water rates to the tune of a minimum of 3% every year. We just increased sewer rates 24% between this coming July 1 and last July 1. So,
And I've just personally never been a fan of the slippery slope argument, and I think there's an easy boundary to set with this. I mean, you know, this is the school. If the school comes to us with another waiver request, then we've got a precedent, but if an individual comes, we can say, well, you're not a school. And we have waived, not specifically connection charges, but when Mertonville Bauer had a ton of water run into their cistern, we waived the sewage fee on it. So, I mean, there are, but we didn't then get a wave of sewage fee requests for waivers because my toilet was running. So, or at least that were brought to our attention, I suppose. So, you know, I don't know that I'm necessarily arguing in favor of it. I'm just not necessarily saying that the arguments that I've heard yet rule it out.
Any other questions, comments? What is the role of the council here? Do we want to move forward, or do we want to, or not? I think Paul's your mind, we can't have a motion to not do something, is that right? Yeah.
So
So
if no one makes a motion, or that someone makes a motion and no one seconds it, it dies, for lack of a word.
thanks for that reminder.
Yes, sir.
Well, even if we're all voting against it, don't we have to take some action on it?
No.
Okay.
No.
We have an opportunity to meet with the superintendent tomorrow, we can relay whatever information, whatever transpires here, so.
And we'll be with you on Wednesday as well.
Pardon?
At the trial.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Something, yeah. I'm taking no motion on this, no action on this then?
Yeah, I just don't see the reason to set the precedent right away with this.
Okay. Sounds good. Move to J4, discussion consideration of application number 7 for Municipal Pipe Tool Company LLC on the 2024 sanitary sewer rehab project. Council action needed there. That's page 63. Anything to add?
No, this is the,
Anything?
this will be, this pay application, or this pay amount will be released as soon as the retainage period has left.
I move approval of pay application number 7 for the 2024 sewer rehabilitation project.
Is there a second?
Second.
All Craig, moved and seconded to move forward with that pay application number 7. And I think we are ready to vote on that. And those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Carries. J5, discussion and consideration of pay application number 4 of Nelson Electric, the Uptown Lighting Improvement Project.
Are they done?
Yes.
Using most of the poles this weekend. I didn't check all of them, but
Certainly. There were plugs being used at all those poles. I would move approval of pay application number 4 for the Uptown Lighting Project to Nelson Electric in the amount of $24,691.29.
Second.
And Paul is the second. It's moved and seconded to move forward with the pay application number 4 of Nelson Electric. Any other observations about that one? Let's all vote on that one. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is discussion consideration of the V&K invoice 51387-6 of Rachel Street improvements. Council action is needed. It's always looked pretty staked out this weekend. I don't know if I've seen any concrete go down yet, or I've been out there today.
No, they haven't put any concrete down, but they're pretty close.
I would move approval of V&K invoice number 51387-6, Rachel Street improvements in the amount of $6,957.58.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
You have a question for starter?
No.
Okay. You just get a concrete truck, park out there. Or just one load, that's all.
Just anything.
That's coming, that's what we need.
Ready, concrete work.
Yeah. Move to second to move forward with the Rachel Street improvements invoice for B&K. If we're ready to vote on that one, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Discussion consideration of the application with modern concrete. Sidewalk improvements by the skate park, if I remember correctly.
Amongst others, but yes, the dollar amount is actually that's $44,162.37.
So last week, remind me, Chris, we approved $10,300 for this project. It was
You approved a change
number
order.
3. Sorry?
Approved a change order.
Okay.
So that is, part of that is wrapped into the skate park trail. There are other sidewalk sections that the formal pay application has in
So that was.
it. Yeah, the total sidewalk contract is, I want to say about 120,000 total.
What is the PW office? Public Works, okay, sorry.
I haven't asked Lee lately how far we are on the project. I know they were working across the street from the First Street building on Main Street towards the art
They're
park.
actually, I would say probably about 75%, 75-80% of the way through. We did have another section by the skate park. Had a conversation with Charbonneau's this past week, and might be able to close that gap between Charbonneau's property and the skate park. So that could be a potential change order in the future. But wanted to take advantage of willing property.
Yeah. With that being said, I would move approval of the pay application number 3 for Modern Concrete for the sidewalk improvement projects in the amount of $44,162.37.
Second.
Got a mark on that one? Move to second to move forward with this pay application with Modern Concrete, sidewalk improvements. And no other questions, if we're ready to vote on that, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. No other reports to be filed. Discussion items. The last few weeks, they asked Chris to put on as an agenda item for discussion the concept of data centers. And whether the city of Mount Vernon wants to take a position or take no position or wait to see if anybody brings anything to us to discuss a position. So some mayors have aggressively gone after that, like Palo, and annexed property to get access to a data center in that area. Counties also put together their own code, which I'm assuming is stricter than the city of Palo's. But and I don't see us being a haven for data centers anytime soon that I know of. But this is something we want to get ahead of. We want to see if it ever becomes an issue. Do we want to talk about it at all or not? So it could be a short discussion, no discussion.
It was interesting that at the leaders' breakfast, Mark was there, Tom was there, I was there. Dennis Jordan got up and talked about data centers. He works for Light Energy, and Mark helped me here, and Tom, 2 data centers was he talking about that were well on their way at this point, and he was trying to get, I guess they're well on their way, but out in front of issues of conservation, water use, that kind of thing.
There's the concept of that it's going to drive up energy costs because of how much energy it draws. And the second thing is it will lead to water, aquifers. You know, if you're a farmer
And the environment.
5 miles away from one of those data centers, I'd be worried about your well going dry. But possibilities there. So that's what's out there. Yes, and Dennis obviously represents a line in that process, and also the plant that's being built west of Fairfax, Linden County line.
Have we been approached?
We have not.
Is it in a cursory way?
The mayor asked me about my concerns as it relates
My
to
heart's
data
happy.
centers, and I don't have an issue if you want to get out in front of data centers in general. I would tell you this, Mount Vernon itself has fairly shallow wells, relatively speaking. That's why we have horizontal and not vertical geothermal systems. We don't have the water capacity. We don't have the capacity to actually, without placing another additional wells or another water tower, have the capacity to meet their water needs.
They probably wouldn't approach us anyway.
Would they? Potentially, yeah. I mean, they like to throw a lot of big numbers. I would probably argue with Dennis a little bit. I think that his views probably skewed towards the Alliant Energy as a very big end user for Alliant, which is great, but from a property tax standpoint, in order to get the data centers located, you're taking a 15 to 20 year speculation that you're going to get those types of billions of dollars in value at a later date. And we just saw what happened this year with property tax and what the state was willing to do. So, you know, again, am I concerned about them locating in Mount Vernon? No. I think there's a lot more issues that we would have here that they would have to overcome before we actually see one located. I do find it interesting. I mean, you can read between the lines. You know, they asked to be annexed into Palo because they were worried about Lynn County's regulations. Do I worry about Mount Vernon doing the same thing that Palo did? No. I know. But that's what the current council, the current planning commission, and the current always can change, but so can a code.
Yeah.
If the next council, if you adopted a code section and the next council came in and unanimously decided to repeal it, they could. So, I am not personally a fan of preemptively putting the code in there unless we absolutely foresee issues. Case in point would be the bypass. We knew that the bypass was going to develop at some point. We collectively created basically a sub-area of the comprehensive plan to ensure that it grew the way that we had foreseen. I just don't see this being a possibility. Cedar Rapids can pull from aquifers, they can pull from the Cedar River. They have a much higher level of water provisions than we do.
Yeah, my concern is less with actually a data center in the city of Mount Vernon limits. It's more with outside the city, and the county's already taken steps to be thoughtful and have a process in place with their ordinance. When I was asked about this initially, I felt at the time that it was a really good idea, but I appreciate Chris's feedback. And I changed my mind that I do think that, you know, waiting and seeing makes sense to us.
The other thing that I would point out is data centers in Iowa are relatively new in the grand scheme of building. If we were to put a preemptive code out there, and if they made innovations to the type of water usage that they do, if they recycle water, there's a number of things that, if the right parameters came forward, I would hate to have an ordinance in place if some of the things were completed. There are value, there is value to having, a $500,000 data center, one building, locate in your community, but I don't really foresee. Somebody asked me about the annexation property in the north, and so much stuff would have to happen in order to make that work, including the construction of the second sub.
Lift station.
Well, it would be, Alliant we have two substations, but even if you go out to the one that's being constructed in Cedar Rapids, it's pure insanity. It's like building a little city up there right now.
Well, I appreciate that Tom had this on the agenda, that we're thinking about it. Because I think that's wise, that for big things that could be down the road, at least we're thinking about it ahead of time. It's just like, with a tornado, hopefully we all have some kind of a preparation box in our basement so that if we have to spend some time down there, we're not grabbing things as we go running down there. And so, if this does come across our windshields in the future, it's good that we're thinking, we're talking about things now instead of be deer in the headlight. Keep using my windshield thing there. If it were to come and we haven't even started to talk about things, so I think it's good that we're discussing things ahead of time.
I did reach out to Randy Weisscheid, our supervisor, representing the county board of supervisors, and with the two agenda items, this was one of them. And she said, get back to me in about 5 or 6 weeks. She's jammed right now, but that's on our discussion, our mutual discussion there, and I think I know where she's going to weigh in on this, because she was very involved with the processing that the supervisors use to get their plan. So I think I'm hearing with comments from this end of the table that we probably, we've talked about it, say we've thought about it, but we're not anxious to go do anything at this point. Not that's an agenda item, so consider that one discussed. Separate irrigation water meter option.
It's been a month of requests. So between the school and Quickstar and the county, same kind of concept here. When I was approached by Quickstar about irrigation meters, I told them that we do not have a provision in our water ordinance right now that allows for irrigation meters. They're definitely not the only entity that has asked. Most of the new houses that have been constructed ask the same question. Are there other cities that have irrigation meters? Yes. Do I completely agree with number 2 under Quickstar's opening statement? No. He knows as well as I know that saturating ground, irrigations that overflow on the streets eventually make their way into the sewer system. Now, is it a per gallon similar to what is being flushed in your toilet? No. I would say this, if the council is interested in moving forward with irrigation meters, I would probably refer this to B&K Engineering to come up with some sort of model ordinance. And the reason I say that is there's backflow preventions in my mind that need to happen, cost of issuing a second meter, all sorts of what I would consider issues that need to be addressed before allowing a second meter.
But they wrote the ordinance for us.
They did.
Like our first rodeo, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like watching to be honest with you, it's like watching a Lions attorney do either the gas and electric franchise that they want to do adopt. Just adopt it.
Scripted out.
Again, does it make valid points? Yes. There are some valid points within that argument. Do I think that I would recommend that you adopt an irrigation ordinance? No, I don't. Because this is what I would tell you. If we do go this route, sewer rates are going to increase much more than 24%. Because now you've changed the revenue factor. Depending on how many people take advantage of an irrigation meter and how much actual volume loss is to the sewer, could increase rates substantially.
Is there a scenario that would say 2 meters, 1 irrigation, 1 indoor water would only apply to businesses of a certain size or businesses and not individual homes?
Now, you really have to be careful in that regard. The state Supreme Court has definitely ruled on what I would consider like similar ordinances. Now, if you could scientifically prove that a business of, let's say, 25,000 square feet, for some reason, if you allow them to have an irrigation meter is different than an individual watering their lawn, then I think you can adopt an ordinance similar to that. If you were just kind of picking a number for a commercial entity, similar ordinances, for instance, that's why cities can't allow or have different water rates for elderly individuals or anybody over the age of 65. So, again, you would have to, B&K would have to bring forward some sort of recommendation that would identify why they're okay to have an irrigation meter and the rest of the populace would not.
I do want to put out there, we have lived all over the country, and when we moved here, we were really surprised how much our water bill was. And then when we saw that we were essentially paying, like it says in the document, paying for our water twice, because we were paying for the water we use and then the sewage charge. We'd never seen that on a water bill. And we lived in Iowa twice, so we've, in the Des Moines area, we didn't have that. We're in a town north of Des Moines, not in Des Moines proper. I mean, so we started conserving water better than we ever have in all of our households with 4 daughters. That was a good lesson for them to learn. But I'd never seen water being billed and charged in Alaska, Washington State, and Texas the way it does in Mount Vernon. So as I read this document, I was like, yeah. And I don't recall, I don't know if we had 2 meters. I don't know in all of our moving if I have ever kept a water bill from another town, but when we started reading our bills here to try and figure out why it was so much more expensive in Mount Vernon than it had been in all these other places, that was a big thing we noticed, was the dual charge with the sewage rate and then the water rate. So
I would tell you, in 26 years, I've never seen a sewer meter. So
I think all the other towns, there was just like a flat rate for sewage.
So what they will do, and it's across the board. So when I was in Burlington, for instance, they don't have water meters. They base their water bill on a flat rate per room that you have in your house. So they don't even meter your water. So cities all across the state and of course the country do it differently. Is it like a 1-to-1? No, I would say Mount Vernon is probably slightly unique in that manner. The Des Moines Metro, for instance, it's a challenge because most of the metro communities buy their water from Des Moines Waterworks, and most of the Des Moines communities are part of the Wastewater Reclamation Authority, WRA. So, and each community collects differently there as well. So they save dollars in the Des Moines Metro by sheer volume, if that makes sense. But you can also see where irrigation becomes an issue in the Des Moines Metro this past year, when they were proactively requiring, individuals to not irrigate water meters because they have an issue with nitrogen and reducing.
Right.
So all I am saying is I don't necessarily disagree, like I said, with points that Quick Start's making. Would I recommend that you move forward with this? No, but that's why it's not up to me. If you do decide to want to move forward with an irrigation meter system, then I would suggest that you defer this to the city engineer for 2 reasons. Number one, I think we have to live by an ordinance collectively, backflow prevention, all of that. And number two, we will, I just want to kind kind of reiterate that, you will have to make a financing decision potentially for sewer. So,
Are we talking about doing this with housing as well? Or just
I
this?
don't necessarily see how you treat them differently unless you, like I said, unless you have a scientific reason why commercial would be different than residential. I think if you're gonna open the door for irrigation meters, you're going to open the door for irrigation meters.
So, when you discuss the fact that irrigation may put water into the street and it goes into the storm sewer, that has a cost on wear and tear on the storm sewers, because it will increase the volume of water going into the storm sewers. I'm trying to remember the last time we raised the storm sewer fees.
We haven't in the 10 years that I've been here. I think the stormwater fees need to be revamped altogether. I think when I walked through the door 10 years ago, they were actually spending 2 to 1 what they were bringing in stormwater revenue versus what was going out the door. So we have curtailed that. So we are basically getting it back now on dollar for dollar. But again, you know, you can make valid arguments on both sides of this for sure. I would tell you that when it is dollar for dollar water to sewer, you do make voluntary conservation related decisions. I do as well. But is it necessarily the most fair? No. But we do have to be careful. Here's what they don't necessarily put in there, that you have to be careful with irrigation and irrigation meters. So if we have a water main break, we lose pressure, do anything like that, we have a boiler that has to be placed. If we don't have a backflow prevention system, or the worst part about it is, you know, if you have backflow prevention or for sewer or water, they are supposed to be exercised yearly. Now, how many homeowners are going to remember to go out and exercise both of those yearly? If they fail, there is potential for contaminants to get back into the water system. Does it happen? No. I mean, does it happen? Yes, but does it happen frequently?
Any other discussion on that topic? Any will to move forward on anything at all? Your head's shaking, so I think we'll move on. Thanks for putting on the agenda for discussion. Move on to reports. I'm going to mention 2 items from the Mayor's report. Community Foundation has done their annual meeting. This is the Garner contribution fund, originated with them. And the foundation is contributing $4,500 to Child Care Solutions Group. I did not get that check today, so it's got to be close. And and also another group, a locally developed foundation in Mount Vernon. The official title is Helpful Mamas. It's about young families with adoptions or raising children with needs and so on in Mount Vernon. So contribution to them as well. And the second thing is, I'm on the agenda for the fire department in about 2 minutes to just do a thank you to them. So unless there's anything else that anybody else has. And I do this as a thank you from council and from the citizens, and I've got a agenda that I go through. But do you want to finish it, or?
I think we're done.
Is there anything else that needs to come
I guess what I was going to say. I was going to give an update on the Cornell College search.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Just real
Well,
quick.
he's packed up.
Yeah. So at the leaders' breakfast,
Yeah.
and Nathan was there as well, of course. I was asked to introduce the search firm and the person representing the search firm that will be working with Cornell College as they look to hire Jonathan Brand's successor. His name is Zach Bassetti. He's former president of Ripon College, was there for 9 years. He's on the board at Beloit. I thought it was really good that the Cornell board and the search committee asked to attend the leaders' breakfast and hear from citizens and leaders of Mount Vernon as they put together a position description and determine what's important for not just the college, but the community. And since we have been together side by side for 175 years in 2028, seems appropriate. So they hope to have a successor named by the end of the year. And the search firm will help recruit a strong, diverse, qualified group of candidates. They will help weed through the resumes and vitaes. They will coach the search committee, who will be made up of faculty, staff, 1 student, and board members. And then they will oversee all the interviews. But ultimately, the selection will be faculty, staff, student, and board. So, and he'll be back on campus this weekend, this coming weekend for graduation, and to meet with board members and some others.
The only thing I was going to add is they did obviously pass, House and Senate passed the property tax bill over the weekend. I haven't dissected all of it. It's not as bad as the House bill when it started, and not as great as the Senate bill or when it got started. So somewhere in between. The good news is they did limit the 2% hard cap on the general fund and not all of the other limits. So then a workable solution. I would have like thrown my bag of tricks way down the road. Other than that, we'll get you that information as soon as we start seeing some things from the league as far as overall impacts.
Sounds good. So, with that being said, go ahead and close the meeting. There we go. I know.
Tried to convince our ops guy what's our next thing.